or we can schedule something in between just to dedicate to that topic. Okay. So I've been doing some writing on the doc, just trying to further proceed with converting the bullet points into the paragraph. So, you know, you're all welcome to go to that when you find some time and add additional comments there. So I try to cover start to covering the edge categories, defining the constraint device, conventional devices, and IoT gateways so far, and the device edge environment. So there's nothing much new in terms of the concept, just a little bit, you know, rephrasing and adding, putting it into the writing material. But yeah, the comments are always welcome. So that's the status from my side. So I also see a couple of new names here. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves and maybe raise some topics or you know, your interests, you're more than welcome to do so.
Hey, hi, yeah. Sure. My name is Mathieu Duperre. I'm founding a startup based out of Montreal, Canada. I'm an ex-Cisco. In fact, I used to work with some gentleman who's also been attending this group, Matt, if you're familiar with Matt. So, and well, at Cisco, I was working on edge computing, which is why, and I decided to start my own endeavor around edge computing. I'm just trying. I'm here as a lurker. So I'm just trying to make sure that what I'm working on is going to embrace the future standards / products out there. So I'm taking part of that at Crano and the other few. Yeah. Great.
Thanks, and feel free to give us your input on anything. It's yeah.
I definitely will.
Yeah. So how do you? I just recently become aware of Carino from other guys. So how do you see it positioned towards the work we will be trying to do here?
So out of the few open projects around edge computing, I'd say they are the one with the most people involved. It seems like, I think that Acrano ended up being a creation of a few different teams tagging along together. They're highly sponsored by the telco world. My view is that Acrano is a little bit more for telco, for service providers, but they are looking at leveraging stuff like Kubernetes, for example, yeah, Acrano.org. Yeah. They do have some source code already available. There are a lot of people in the projects and a lot of companies. I was in Berlin a few weeks ago for Etsy MEC Congress, and the vendors, the major vendors, which some of you may be part of, like Huawei, for example, Intel, they're looking at open standards and open projects like Crano to just get their product off the ground. So yeah, that's my take.
Thanks.
There's also ONAP, if you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniele Santoro. Let me introduce myself and the group for which I work. I work for a company that is called FBK. It's located in North Italy. It's a non-profit organization that do research in many fields like ICT, physics, telecommunications, but also sociology, history, etc. In particular, the group in which I work is focused on working on investigating and implementing solutions for enhancing resiliency, robustness of distributed computing infrastructure. And we started in early 2016 to work on this on the field of edge and fog computing. And we published a couple of papers that I've already shared on the mailing list. And we started using Kubernetes, OpenStack, and Docker technologies in order to validate our idea. And yeah, we also contributed, well, we participated to the Fog Edge massively distributed working group that is now called Edge Computing Working Group inside the OpenStack community. And we participated on the Fog World Congress 2017. Yeah, so it's from basically 3 years we are working on these topics, and more or less during the last year we consolidated our work in a software platform that is still a proof of concept, and that is called Fog Atlas. This platform is based on Kubernetes, Docker, Ansible, OpenStack, but it uses also other open source technologies like OpenVPN and others. And the main goals of this platform are to set up, monitor, and operate a multi-tier distributed cloud infrastructure. We do something on deploy and manage the smart placement of containers, depending on the resources available on this multi-tier infrastructure. And we negotiate resources. We try to negotiate resources, both computational resources and network resources. So basically, we try to define the better place to start container depending on the available bandwidth, latency, connecting to or other nodes. And we started also to work on pricing mechanism in order to give prices on different node on this infrastructure, on this distributed infrastructure. We published a website with a generic information. I can share some pointers in the minutes if you like. And we are in the process of publishing the code under the Apache license. So I will be very happy to share the pointers also of this repository as soon as everything will be ready. Yeah, for future plan of what we are doing, well, we currently we are using our Fog Atlas platform in order to manage the infrastructure of a small pilot we installed in an Italian company under a project that is called DigiFlow. And we plan to use this platform and of course Kubernetes in a distributed way, also in other, at least in other 3 projects during the end of this year and the start of the early next year. So yeah, we are happy to share our knowledge and to discuss issue problem with the working group people. So yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Daniel. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you when the time comes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. This might be a short meeting for this week. Just before we go, Steve, do you know about the privileges on the documents we are going to use? Are there any guidelines from the community how that should?
Yes, there should be edit privilege granted to the group membership, but it should not be. I think what you'd prefer is that it be group members only, not anybody who happens to have a link. Even if a group member accidentally deletes it, the way Google Docs work, you can recover that because it tracks history. So that's okay. And if you're the chair of a working group or SIG, it's too much work to individually add people. So you can take the alias for the entire group and then grant edit permission to that alias.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure if you can do this or not, but if there is an alias for the group chairs, that should be the owner. So I suspect right now that the owner might be a single person, whoever started the document.
Yeah, it's
but
Cindy, I think, yeah.
Yeah, just for coverage, if there is any way to, as long as you've got an email address that is recognized by that the Google groups, you can assign that to be the owner, and that might be a better way to do it.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Otherwise, I'd at least explicitly grant edit permission to all the chairs, because that way, if the group membership ever gets messed up, at least you can go in there and take a look at it. Fix
it up, yeah. Cool, thanks. I'll take a look at it. I'll ping Cindy about the needs document, and I'll see to set the white paper document as well properly.
I'm just curious that the person who did the new introduction said they were with a startup, presumably in the Edge IoT space. Could you tell me? I'm just curious what your startup does.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for asking. So my my startup is around enabling multiplayer gaming studios to leverage edge infrastructure in a telco environment. So think of it as a Fortnite server sitting at the corner of a street instead of in the public cloud.
Okay, is that just so you can have minimal latency then by moving stuff?
You got it. You got it.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's without going too much further into details. Last year at Cisco, we've identified that as a major issue and the place where we could where edge could be monetized.
What's the difference in the latency by doing that? You know, like I've seen these figures that for 5G, for example, they're already down to single-digit latencies measured in milliseconds. If you move it right out to the edge locations, how much do you get? How much reduction is there?
If you so even if you're in 5G, or the server instance is still sitting somewhere in the cloud, right? That's the thing. And even if it sits at, like, you're fairly close from a metro area and there's a DC down there, and then Epic, which is a Fortnite, for example, as an example, they have an instance running there. I mean, okay, you're not going to have that much of a bad user experience, but if you're farther in the Midwest and the server instance runs in LA or something like that, then you have a disadvantage against other players. Just take whatever popular game name and Google it out with latency, and you'll see that all the big multiplayer games do suffer from latency.
Now, I suppose maybe there's another issue that isn't latency at all either. I don't know enough about gaming to know whether just data transfer becomes an issue too. I mean, I could see maybe if you're downloading graphics a lot, saving that stuff moving on the long haul up to a central cloud server and keeping it cached locally might be a big advantage.
In the multiplayer gaming world, they're not necessarily transferring graphics or anything. It's more of a, okay, I'm shooting a bullet right now, so I tell the server that the bullet was shot from the XYZ location with that kind of velocity in that direction, and the server is going to decide, because it knows your physical location. It knows that Steve's is just got the bullet on an arm instead of in the chest, and it's just pure control plane kind of data, right?
Okay, got it. Okay, well, thanks. I was just wondering.
I don't want to hijack the meeting, so you guys go ahead.
Okay, just John, it sounded like you were about to shut it down anyway, but that was just my only question and comment.
And it's a good topic because we're here at this stage discussing use cases. So this is just one of the good use cases for this.
Yeah, I never had even realized that gaming came into the picture in Edge IoT.
Yeah, it's well, last year when I was investigating Edge for Cisco, we've had identified a slew of different use cases. IoT, like the IoT of this world, like self-driven cars and drones and I don't know, my thermostat at home and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting use cases there, especially in the health industry. But for the whole edge to take off, I think there's going to be some need for a lot of money to be thrown in. If you guys are familiar with service providers, they are deploying their 5G core infrastructure in some sort of an edge fashion, in an edge way. Without going into too much details, they're breaking down the core infrastructure in a way where at the bottom of each and every cell site, you do have some sort of a mini core infrastructure so that when your traffic gets to the antenna, you get an IP address and then boom, you're on the internet. Whereas with 4G and before, your traffic still had to be backhauled back to the data center. And the reason I'm talking about that is that that kind of architecture for 5G help them monetize or save money, right? It's all about money at the end, at least for these guys. So it helped them save enough money to justify doing this sort of a pre-edge computing type of architecture. And I think this is sort of food for thought. So 5G and a broken down control plane, user plane was the very first quote unquote edge application for service providers. Now what's coming next still has to be seen and remains to be seen, but like VR, we've talked about VR and these things. I mean, I'm a geek, I think, and I don't have a VR headset, so I think that the market penetration is still not there for VR stuff. So I do see a good fit for VR use cases on edge computing, but the market is not there yet, that's for sure. So if you want things to keep running and people to look at those kind of edge computing technologies, you got to follow the money, as I like to say. So yeah. Yeah.
And Steve, I think the state of the edge white paper have a gaming as one of the main use cases, just because of the latency stuff. All right. If you don't have any further topics, we might go on a weekend earlier.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. So we'll organize on Slack. Let's try to put more things about the KubeCon and start around it, because it will come soon. Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.